Good evening. White Witch 110 here. We are going to continue with the story It All Began at the Cabin. We were at the point the other evening where Abigail was opening up to Scott, and she was going to let him know everything that had happened. Hold on to your hats. Easily, she opens up. When I met Tom, he seemed like the greatest guy. Very attentive, happy to be with me. I never thought anything but that we had a solid relationship. We got to know each other's friends. It was great. Then 6 months into it, I began to notice small things. He wasn't acknowledging me as quickly when we were with his friends. He didn't want to make time for me to see mine. He'd ask me for the odd $20. I never asked why. Time went on, and suddenly I noticed my friends weren't coming around anymore. I never thought to ask why. I figured they were busy with their own lives. He wanted me to move into his place, but I didn't. That seemed to make things worse. If I wouldn't move in with him, we should get our own place. The tone he was taking with me began to scare me. The phone calls at work started, asking me when I'd be home. Then he started picking me up at work. My coworkers thought it was cute. I couldn't say anything to them. Abigail takes a breath. The mental abuse got worse. He beat my self-esteem to a pulp. I began pulling away from people and family. Each time Nicole would call, I'd tell her I was busy with work or something else. I believed I was worthless. The energy was zapped right out of me. Trying to keep him content began to be a full-time job. I walked on eggshells. He stayed at my place more and more. If it weren't for a friend of his needing a roommate, I don't know what I would have done. You should have just broke it off then. Do you think that would have been that easy? I was living in hell and terrified. That man raped me. Realizing she had let it slip, she bowed her head. What? If I had known that, I would have beaten the shit out of him. Scott's temper rises. It wouldn't make a difference. You can't tell Dad or Nicole. None of you can understand what I went through. It was like being in a closet with no window to look out of and no door to escape from. No hope of seeing the sunshine. There were so many nights I sat alone crying, telling myself I had noticed the signs and questioning why I kept going on. I honestly believed I could change him. I loved him, and that should have made a difference, but it didn't in the end. I learned how to work around his moods and cope when they hit. I'd sit quietly in a corner and not move until it was over. I don't know why he stayed. He actually didn't want me. Maybe that was part of it all. He should have left, but he didn't. I was someone he could control, and he loved it. Knowing I'd made plans with a friend, Tom would threaten my not being able to see them. And I'd do what he wanted, just so I could. Then my friends would cancel. Other times, he'd make up stories about us spending time together, so I would cancel. And when he knew I had, he'd say he'd changed his mind. I was like a hooker to him. He just as much said so one night. We were going out, so I got all dressed up, hoping that would make him happy. All he could say to me was, I'd be easy to rent out. That crushed me, and Tom knew that. He got off on my depression. Then one night, Abigail stops herself, choking on her words as tears flowed easily from her eyes. That one night a year ago, he came over to my place. I thought he had changed. He had brought me roses and spoke sweetly to me. We were enjoying an evening in front of the television. I remember he got up and closed the curtains. Tom had never done that before. That was always my job. Her job? Scott thinks. What the fuck? He came back to the sofa and put his arm around me. I felt uncomfortable, but reprimanded myself. He led me to my bedroom. Scott knew where this was heading, and he didn't like it. He wanted to tie me to my bed, but I refused. That's all he needed. He struggled to get on top of me while I kicked furiously to keep him away, but I couldn't. Finally, he forced himself on me, ramming me over and over. I cried the entire time, but he didn't care. I doubt he noticed. He thought it was a game. He was laughing. When he was done, he got up and went into the living room, leaving me laying there. I got up and went into the bathroom and cleaned myself up. My God, Abigail. Scott is in shock, even though he knew this was coming. It didn't stop there. Another evening, he came into the bathroom on the pretense of using the toilet. Instead, he sat by the tub on the floor, touching me. I couldn't get away. I was trapped. He told me I was his, and it should be okay for him to do this. After he left, I sat in the tepid water crying. Another time being told I wouldn't be taken home unless I took my underwear off when he was driving. Seeing a man in the car beside us smile as if he knew what was happening. It was humiliating. Holy shit. What the fuck? Abigail. I don't know what to say, Scott earnestly tells her. That's why I kept it to myself. What can someone say except for, why didn't I leave the relationship? But no one understands how difficult something so easy to say actually is to do. I remember I thought I loved him and I could help change him. You never can change someone. I learned that the hard way. Scott takes her in his arms, being careful of her fragile state. This woman has been to hell and back. It concerns him as to what she may not be telling him. How much else did she endure before coming here? Why would she want to go back? Then the realization of his actions came to mind. My God, what has he done? Blown away by this information, he cradles her until she falls asleep, but he stays awake, playing her life continuously over in his mind. At some point, sleep overtakes him. Abigail stirs in her sleep. There is the faint sound of a whistle from some distance. Is she dreaming? The sound comes again. This time, Abigail is awake. Carefully, she gets out of bed and walks to the window at the side of the cabin. Tom? She murmurs. Scott wakens. Abigail, what are you doing? Tom's here. He's back. Don't turn round. Abigail continues looking out the window. Scott is close enough to see out the window, but not to be seen himself. Sure enough, there stands this loser, whistling up to a woman he raped. Come on, baby, you know I love you. I didn't mean to hurt you. You know how I get sometimes. I don't mean it. Keep him talking, Abigail. I'm calling the police, Scott tells her. Abigail stands at the window in conversation with Tom. Hello, Shelby Police Department. What is your emergency? The operator asks. I have an intruder on the property. I'm at the Able cabin in Washaway Bay, he says. Where is the intruder, sir? He's outside the cabin trying to convince his ex-girlfriend to let him in. He was here earlier this evening, and at that time he did enter the cabin through a window on the main floor bathroom. Was she harmed, sir? The operator asked. Not at that time. Myself, her father, uncle, and a cousin came in. We escorted him off the premises with him promising not to return. Who else is in the house? The men I mentioned, and her female cousin. He had broke into the garage and took a knife which he threatened to use on her. What is your name, sir? Scott Wilson. Scott, I'm dispatching an officer to your location. I advise you to stay inside in case he is armed. Are the doors and windows locked? Yes, we made sure before going to bed. After hanging up, he makes his way to Nick's room to inform him of the call. Nick, it's me, Scott. Don't turn the light on. Tom is back. He's at the side of the house trying to convince Abigail to let him in. Why the hell are you standing here? Let's go. Nick jumps out of bed. Slow down. I've contacted the police and made them aware of the situation. They've sent a car out. I told Abigail to keep him talking until they get here. That shouldn't take long. They're 20 minutes away. Nick dresses. What's going on? Rob emerges from his room and they fill him in. Abigail keeps up the farce. Abigail, I love you, baby. I realize I made a mistake. Please take me back. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Please take me back. Before long, the police are on scene and Tom is taken into custody. When things calm down, everyone makes their way back to bed for a few hours sleep, if at all possible. Scott holds tight to Abigail. In the morning, she wants to forget all that happened, but her father has questions. Dad, I don't want to talk about it. Abigail, I want to know what's gone on between the two of you. No! It's my life, and I don't want to discuss it. Abigail leaves the kitchen to make her way to the lake. Why won't she tell me what happened? Nick wants to know. She told me last night. She'll tell you, but not me. All I'll say is that it isn't something you would want to talk to your father about. Wouldn't feel comfortable, Scott says. That doesn't help me any, Nick comments. I understand what he's saying. Nicole jumps up. Uncle Nick, I think it is a very personal matter, if you know what I mean. Nick shuts down and presses no further. The thoughts in his head are enough to make him want to wring Tom's neck. Down at the lake, Abigail attempts to erase the memory of last night. This has always been a special place for her, and no one is going to take that away from her. How are you feeling this morning? Scott approaches her. Tired and pissed off. This is my space. He had no right to come here. He's gone now. The police called. He was placed on a plane this morning for Toronto. Good. Abigail now wonders what will await her back home. I've got to get to the studio, but I'll see you later. Scott kisses her and leaves. Nicole is next to come down to the lake. Our old spot, hey, cousin? Love this spot. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Your dad was lucky to get it. Abigail, what went on in Toronto that you can't tell your dad? Lots. You can guess, she tells her. Yes, I'm sure I can. He raped you, didn't he? Nicole confronts her. Yes, and I don't want a thing said to my father about it. It's embarrassing enough with you knowing. Abigail bows her head. I'm afraid for you going back to Toronto. I think you should stay here. It's not safe for you there. I have a job to go back to there. I just need to sort things out, close a chapter in my life so I can move on. Maybe I should go back with you and help out. Nicole is not comfortable at all with Abigail going home alone in 4 days. My locks are changed, and I'll be around people. He can't get into my building, so don't worry. But I do. I care about you. We all do. Nicole needs her to understand. Scott lives in Toronto. Call him if you need to. I will, she replies. At 8 o'clock, Scott is home and by Abigail's side. He found it too difficult to concentrate at the studio. How was your day? Abigail inquires. It was all right. My mind was here with you, though my body was there, he tells her. It's cold out tonight. We'll stay inside by the fire with the family. The family sits at the kitchen table playing cards for hours this night, having a great time. It's late, and I need sleep. Rob speaks up. James feels the same way. Abigail, love you, sweetie, her father says. Good night, Dad. She kisses his cheek as he leaves for his apartment across the driveway. Nicole has gone up, and the duo aren't far behind. In her room, she speaks to Scott. Don't think you have to stay away from me because of him. I trust you. Thank you. That means a lot. They lay in each other's arms. Abigail begins with sweet, quick kisses on his arm. Scott turns on his side, gazing longingly at her. In the moment, he leans forward, though still unsure this is right. Their lips connect full of passion withheld the night before. I want you so badly. I couldn't go another night without you, she tells him. It's a hunger inside we both feel. It's crazy. Even when I'm fulfilled, I need more, Scott explains. Yes, that's how I feel. Always needing more, Abigail agrees. And they did share more. Sweat glistens on Abigail's skin, as it does on Scott also. Each rise and fall is a pleasure she relishes. Scott throws his head back as he climaxes, offering one more push to bring her apex. Tired, they lay together as before, holding each other, appreciating the devotion between them. The following morning, it is only more days till Abigail goes home. She spends the day with her father out on his boat. Fishing is good today, and he'll make money. Abigail, do you really love Scott? Nick inquires of his daughter. Yes, Dad, I do. Since the first time I heard his voice. He is everything I thought he would be. He hasn't disappointed me, and I hope he feels the same way. I'm sure he does. You know he leaves Friday. No, he never said. Abigail is hurt. That night, when Scott arrives home, Abigail confronts him. Why didn't you tell me you were leaving Friday? Sorry, I was hoping to extend my stay, but I need to tend to things at home. So I only have a few days with you here. She holds back the tears. Yes. Hey, don't cry. He tilts her chin. We live in the same city, remember? We can get together. Toronto is a big city and easy to get lost in. Babe, I'm still here. Let's enjoy this time. It was difficult, but she soldiered on. That evening, Scott takes her to a little bistro in town. They are seated toward the back of a large space for privacy. Scott has arranged a lovely meal of pasta with shrimp. A generous garden salad is shared between them. Dessert is a lava cake, oozing chocolate. The owner approaches their table. Hello, how are you? I hope that the meal was pleasing. Very much so, thank you, Scott says. Excuse me, but you two look very much in love. You remind me of my wife and I at your ages. Really? Abigail speaks up. Yes, she is the hostess you met on your way in, he explains. She is a very lovely woman, Abigail tells him. Thank you, the owner says. Please allow me to gift you with a bottle of champagne. He motions for the head waiter to bring the bottle. On the house, I insist. Scott gratefully gratefully accepts the bottle. That was very nice of him, Scott says. Yes, it was, Abigail smiles. Abigail is lost in the setting of this tranquil bistro. Low lighting and candles with soft music in the background. Incredibly romantic. Their evening continues on the dock at the cabin. 2 champagne flues and a blanket. Here's to us. Scott clinks her glass. And we'll leave it there for this evening. I hope that wasn't too much of a shocker for you. I wasn't too sure about reading it tonight, but we got through it. To my YouTube family, as always, I appreciate your coming by. You all mean quite a bit to me, as you know. And I am so thankful for the friendships that I have been able to cultivate here. It really is great. An extension of my family. Anybody new coming through to hear the next part, or maybe this is the first part you're hearing, please look back a few videos and you'll find the first one. I've got a cat trying to get to something. Sorry about that. Yes, so if you're new, please feel free to look at my other videos that I have. If there's anything you find that you're interested in, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Share them out. Friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, anyone you think may be interested. While you're here, consider becoming a subscriber. And if you do, click that notification bell so that you'll know the next time that I upload. The kitties, Sassy's being sassy, that's for sure. We gave her a bit more space by putting some cardboard up at the one end of the walk-through closet because we don't have a door there. So she had the bathroom and the closet to walk around in today. But hubby noticed that little Miss Pearl got her way in through a corner, and I guess it was too small for the other two, so they stayed out in the living room. So Sassy had some company today. But hubby's retaped it, so that shouldn't be repeated tomorrow. Anyway, as I said, thank you for coming by. I hope that wasn't too much of a shocker or offended anyone. That's just the way that the story flowed when I wrote it. But I hope you'll stay tuned for the remaining part of the story. We're getting quite close to the end of it now. So until the next time, have a great rest of your Thursday evening and have a fantastic Friday. And until the next time, as always, ciao for now.